Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. In this video, I want to talk about how I was able to close a business for $9,931 approximately about a couple of weeks ago and what led up to that. Because $9,931 is a paycheck. Now, my consultancy makes 6 figures a month helping people get into the high ticket sales space, specifically helping Muslims. I've now worked with a number of businesses, helping them generate thousands and thousands of dollars in the high ticket sales space. But I want to date back to a specific business relationship which I started just a couple of weeks ago, where I got paid something which would be a paycheck in itself of one transaction. For many people, 10K a month is the goal. But what if you could just make it off one business deal? How much more could you make? How much more could you benefit? 5 to 6 figures a month becomes easy in this case. But realistically, charging somebody $9,931 doesn't just come off anything. It comes based off authority, and it comes based off having the experience and skill set to do so. Now, this customer who I charged, again, wasn't an individual. It was a business looking to increase their high ticket sales, meaning they wanted to actually install a high ticket sales sort of sales funnel, and they wanted to make more money. They wanted to be able to sell high ticket, and this was actually somebody who had experience in the space. But after seeing obviously the experience I had, and after having this business relationship for some time, and the customer seeing what I had built through one of my B2C products which I run, they wanted to work together, and this is a fadl from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I was able to get on one call with them, drop the price of $9,931, and they transacted the money on that same call. And I'm going to walk you through now what specifically took place in terms of obviously the business transaction, meaning what they are sold, and how you can actually get into a position where you can be charging businesses such high prices, or even charging for your consulting services high prices, and being able to actually become a consultant in the high ticket sales space over time. So going deeper on what I charged this customer $9,931 on was a number of sessions for several weeks to build out their high ticket sales funnel, allow them to sell more. And that was generally the goal, to help them basically build a funnel, which is like break it down to a process which a potential customer, a lead, goes through to be nurtured and actually be able to sort of be in a position to buy something which is high ticket. So something which is high ticket is something which is product, which is a service, coaching package, consultancy, course, something of the nature of a service business, which has a price between 1 to 10K. Generally, to buy something like this, the correct funnel firstly needs to be put in place, because the person needs to be nurtured enough to buy from the seller, meaning they need to believe, they need to at least think the seller has a good chance of solving one of their major problems which they're facing, or one of their major pains, etc. Right? So the first thing we need to do in this situation with this business who bought my consultancy was to actually build them out a funnel which would allow potential customer to come through and really be convinced that they need to buy this product's business. And my job here was to help them build this funnel, to nurture the client with customer success results, and nurture the client to try to build trust, all these kind of things. And subhanallah, after this, the next thing which obviously I sold them was sales training. So to actually train the two co-founders, train mainly one of the co-founders, and just help them get better at sales training, discuss calls, closing calls, discuss the setting process, the appointment setting process. So obviously the customer, when he gets into the funnel, he needs to be set onto an appointment, where on the closing call, the product needs to be sold. And also just generally the whole high ticket sales process. That's what I was helping them with, right? And more or less, like after just a couple of weeks of work, the customer was very happy. And one thing that they kind of said in one of the calls just some days ago was, that's it, I think we're coming to wrap up over here, subhanallah. Because what I was able to do is give them advice on their high ticket sales funnel, so they improved it, and was able to actually give them sales training so they could close more. And just the other day, they closed a $3,000 deal, $1,500 paid up front, and they had some other sales as well, just within the first number of weeks of working together, which sort of shows you what you can do in high ticket sales if you have the right skill set. Something I was also able to do for them is help their fulfillment side as well, because obviously after you sell high ticket, you need to be able to deliver on what you've said. So parts of their fulfillment, which is customer fulfillment, which is when the customer actually buys the good, how to actually keep them happy, etc., and some deliverables to provide for them, I actually was able to put that in the contract as well and make this big contract, $9,931, and get that signed off. But anyway, now we spoke about the contract, generally the itinerary which I sold to them and they paid, etc. By signed off, obviously, I mean they paid. This was a number of weeks ago. I want to talk about the skill set which has gone into this, because it's not just, okay, $9,931 you charge somebody. No, obviously to be able to charge somebody a high price like that, you need to be able to, obviously, in a lot of cases, have a skill set and authority behind it. And this requires experience in the space. Because in the end of the day, in 1 year from now, I can charge people $20,000 or $30,000 for something like this, right? Whereas maybe 1 year before now, maybe I would have charged somebody, $3,000, $4,000 for something like this. Does that make sense? The last business that I was working with, the high ticket sales space, I was able to make myself maybe several $1,000s off them. I'm not sure now. Maybe I would be saying maybe $8,000 to $10,000 off them, something around there. Obviously, I don't have the exact figures stacked up or invoices, etc. That was another business I worked with. And now one of my students from my remote sales program runs that team. Again, those are very tentative numbers, so I'm not sure exactly how much. Maybe it's around the $8,000 mark. And for example, for that business, I didn't charge them up front because I started working with them a while before. And I just wanted to do some percentage share with them, whereas percentage share of their sales. Whereas for this business, which was $9,931, I just charged them up front. Does that make sense? And you can see sort of the changes, how things can change as you get more experience. You have much more behind you, etc. And now I just want to break down how you can get into this space and actually become a consultant, right? Because realistically, to have charged a business $9,931 for services around high ticket sales and service around customer fulfillment for high ticket sales, etc., you need to have the skill set a lot of the time and experience, right? So most likely you need to have worked in the high ticket sales space as a sales rep. I sold high ticket products when I got into space when I was around 19 years old. Now I'm 22. And when I got into the space, I sold high ticket services for more than a good year. I generated hundreds of thousands of dollars for the company which I sold for. I was a rep. So I saw the high ticket sales process. That was a business to business company. I gained a lot of experience there, right? After that, I launched a couple of my own smaller info products where I was doing this similar thing. I was trying to sell higher ticket, even though my tickets were a bit lower at that time, meaning the product, the service which I was selling, sold that for a bit, generated some money off that. Then I started my own consultancy, helping people get into the space after I'd worked as a rep for some time and generated hundreds of thousands of dollars for that B2B company, opened a couple of smaller info products. Then I opened a bigger info product, which was a consultancy, helping Muslim men get into roles as appointment setters. And that's grown now. Obviously, that itself generates 6 figures now at this current moment in time in terms of revenue. And then I went on to help a bunch of businesses hire. And some of these businesses are like, a business messaged me just some days ago looking for sales reps. I'm not sure, maybe they're doing around $500,000 revenue a month. This shows obviously the connections in the space when you build up, obviously when you are getting into space, when you're a consultant, because obviously I worked as a rep, then I became a consultant. Don't worry, we're going to lead up to where this new business, which I'm talking about in this video, obviously this business who I charged $9,931 for high ticket sales services, some fulfillment services, etc., where this is going to come into play, right? Because I'm kind of mapping it out for you. First, I was working as a rep, then I opened some smaller info products, sort of in the high ticket sales space. Then I became a consultant in the high ticket sales space, helping people to get in. And then after that, I started helping some companies hire, working with some other business owners. And then came a company which I actually helped, which is a big company, which is well known, Students of Knowledge. Not going to mention the name of it. And it's a pretty big company behind a certain person on social media. And I was able to help this company generate like around record month. I helped them build their high ticket product. Their high ticket product now has, we're talking high ticket, which is between 1 to 10K they're charging. And now this high ticket product maybe has between 50 to 100 people in it, if not more. Now I would be guessing maybe around 80. Obviously I have to check the numbers, so don't take my word for that. But there was a significant amount of money generated. I made a significant amount of commission just by coaching the sales team, placing some people and making commission. That was a chapter. That's another business I worked with. One of my students of my current program, He's set up a business, which I'm guessing is bringing in, last time I checked a while ago with him, he was making like $14,000 a month. Now, his high ticket business in the high ticket sales space is, I don't know if it's bringing in like 20, 30K a month. I'm not sure. I upsold him several times on B2B packages to enlarge his business. I don't know if I upsold him either 4 to 7 times on different packages, but it really just shows like when you get knowledge in this space of high ticket sales, how customers buy high ticket, and you work as a sales rep, as an appointment setter, as a closer, for example, and then you started your own consultancy. You can sell businesses on how to make their high ticket sales funnels better. You can sell consumers on how to get into high ticket sales as sales reps. And you just have sort of a skill set now, which is extremely valuable in terms of helping consumers to get into high ticket sales and also helping businesses scale up their high ticket sales. When businesses sell high ticket, it's extremely profitable. If you just take a piece of the pie for helping them, then that can even become potentially passive if you put reps in to their businesses. And generally, obviously, he made the skill set a means. So in this video, I spoke about obviously how this high ticket sale was made for high ticket sales services and fulfillment. And then I spoke about my history in the space. And now I want to round off this video talking about how you can get into this space and actually become an appointment setter and maybe a closer, and then start to become a consultant, etc. Because the first thing that, if you're brand new to the space, first thing that I would do to get experience under your belt, if you really want to become a consultant or an offer owner and sell high ticket, is to work and get experience working as an entry-level high ticket sales rep, which is an appointment setter. Now, an appointment setter has, for example, 15 to 30 minutes with leads which enter a high ticket sales funnel, and they are the first point of contact. So they talk to those leads, qualify them in terms of different things, talk to them, see if they're a fit, financially qualify them, maybe qualify them for their time, maybe see what they're looking for, see the pains they're facing, try to build a gap between their current situation, their ideal situation, and basically nurture them and kind of book them onto a call for the next call, which is with the closer who actually sells the product. So they're kind of like the middle man, and this kind of the first stage in the high ticket sales, this is the first rank in the high ticket sales space. So that's what I would recommend somebody to do if they're brand new to the space, to get into a position like that and actually work, stack thousands of dollars, obviously by landing a good role, by landing a cash flowing role, and then potentially to become a closer. And then after you become a closer, you understand the high ticket sales funnel, how people are set onto appointments, how they close, etc. And then you can become a consultant, hire teams, manage teams, etc. Potentially that can happen only if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills. And yeah, generally this is trajectory. So I'm going to leave you with 2 potential resources if you're interested. Number 1 is my completely free, roughly 1 hour and 20 minutes course, which you can find in the description of this video, which talks about how to get sales space, how to get into space, etc. And the second is my paid program, Muslim Certify, where there are hundreds of Muslim men now in the program. And we have plenty of people in roles, big network, training. And actually, we have a role board where you can get into roles, inshallah. And the link for that will also be in the description. Jazakumullahu khairan. And hopefully, inshallah, I will see you in the next video.